Today we're about to speak on the forms that are always supposed to be very stable, unchanged. Actually, we can achieve very effective results and leave our comfort zone. And achieve new results thanks to things that we are ready to do in a different way. Each of us has their own zone of comfort that we feel good at. I, as an employer, have my comfort zone as receiving a worker, an employee that I can use as such, and that will work effectively and efficiently. All of us know, especially those who work in translation companies, that there's no such thing as a perfect employee. There's such a dream for employees and for employers and for teachers. For a teacher, the comfort zone is something like this. You have a manual book that has everything written out there for you, and you have nothing much to do additionally. But it's a myth. There's nothing like that. There's no manual that can be as up to date for each generation as it used to be. For students that were in this school, the zone of comfort is to get the task, get home, do it, and the next day come back to the university with the ready assignment without stressing yourself. There are lots of pictures like these, the instructions, the manuals, saying that when we leave our comfort zone, that's when the miracles happen. So we invite you to take this trip, to take this journey with us to the miracle country. When I prepared for this speech, I analyzed 237 announcements, job vacancies, and I received the following results. Who are they working? Who are they searching for? These were placed at Localization Career, Gala, Proza, Translation Rating, and some other corporate web pages. So, what does the employer want, actually? The employer wants the translator, the employee, to know the language, to have the command of instruments, not only the translation instruments, but generally to have a profound knowledge of various instruments and be good with IT skills. The employer wants a certain level of education, the knowledge of technology, the knowledge of quality assurance technologies, and various additional competences. So something that the universities and institutes almost don't provide. So these are not traditional competencies, the translation ones, but managing glossary, post-editing, content management, and so on. Something that we didn't need before. So these are new challenges. The project management is another must, something that we want from our employers. And the 15% goes to experience of education. So purely translational skills are not the top of the characteristics. So who are they working? Statistically, the translators are not the most sought ones. Only 11% goes to translators, 48% goes to project managers, then 23 goes to editors, and 18 goes to post editors, to subscribers, people who work with page composition or page assembly, or have additional text processing skills. And these are the preliminary things that we can say is that the market is open now for newcomers. We see that these 15% are not a huge, it's not a huge figure. The technical skills are clearly very important, and now the market proposes endless possibilities for people with project management experience, for people who have additional knowledge and competencies. It's not only about educational facilities. These are potential chances, potential opportunities that the translator has, and that he can use to enhance his or her competence. Of course, the world changes so quickly that the teacher has to be ready, that in order to teach a person, to teach a student, to write dictations, to dictate his or her conditions for the market. From the viewpoint of the teacher, we need to foresee the situation that the alumni, that the graduate will face after the university, after graduation. In his turn, the student needs to realize that any experience is for the best, and the student must aspire for self-empowerment, for self-development. The diploma and the CV should be really filled with new experience and new results. So, generally, based on what we analyzed, based on what the market shows us, we understand that everything changes so quickly that we cannot aim to teach certain instruments, certain actions, because while we're teaching students this, it will change. About the translators, again, as soon as we were working on our new knowledge and new skills, they're changing at that very moment. In order to stay on the same place, you need to run at least twice as fast as in Alice in Wonderland. We need to teach our students to understand the profession, the occupation, how it looks like from the inside, which instruments of this profession, this job. I don't mean only the automated translation instruments, but the whole spectrum of instruments. Also, we need to teach students to adjust to the change. Again, the teacher needs to learn himself, to realize and understand the process that happens inside the industry. The head of the translation industry, of the translation company, somebody who works on the market, but somebody who teaches finds it difficult to understand how the market works sometimes. That's why this small percentage of translation skills, of automatic skills, how to transform text, how to find equivalent phrases, this is not enough. We need to understand what product management is. We need to understand the glossary management, the quality assurance. Not just the work in processing vocabulary. 90 or even 99% of students are used to thinking that glossary is just a vocabulary, nothing more. But it's not that. But specific skills are like stress resistance and being able to adjust. The student, as well as the teacher, learns this. These skills are really difficult to push into that mode, into that strict mode that works at the university now. If they don't fit in, these skills will do everything differently. We created a project which runs for the second time in this educational facility. During their studies, the students receive not only translation skills but also project management, glossary management, and additional knowledge on subtitling, transcribing, meaning audio-visual translation. The same template can be used with any freelance translator, as well as in any educational institution alongside with other skills. I can tell you about my personal experience, how it all happened. my new stressful practice session happened at UTIC 2013, when I faced all the details that were unknown to me. For example, introduction into the translation craft. There are classical manuals that lack something, meaning practice. After UTIC 2013, we started to work very closely with Ms. Struk and with the Linguistic Center translation company. We renewed our training course. We invited Tetyana to be a teacher with us. I updated my course by adding the translation instruments, and as Tetyana already mentioned, we work with translation projects. One of such experiences working within a partner project goes to Halyna, goes to Galia. So any changes to anyone are a certain challenge. So for me, such a challenge was transition from the stereotype that the students usually study just for the marks, just for the good grades. But we got to understand that the task depends not only on us, but you are responsible for people who are in the same team as you are. If you didn't realize how important it is to keep this glossary, to work together, to cooperate, it used to be a personal experience that we should have had, perhaps. It was a project that had something wrong in it. There was an interesting and exciting detail for us, for the teachers. And from the industry, Tetyana Struk was an advisor, a counselor, a very competent, a very experienced one. So the student got the function of the project manager. Halyna will mention which materials they prepared, and the teacher, meaning me, I was the attentive student. I took notes. I learned the processes that allowed me to organize such a project.
This was the escape from my comfort zone. It was the practice that we had in the summer. And so we were supposed to translate the material for international studies, Ukraine NATO 2013, that were launched by the NATO and Ukrainian services. So my group was divided into 4 translation teams, and which involved technologist, editor, and translator. So we were given 2 tasks. The first one was to translate the documents that was needed for for this education, and the translation of the glossary. And at that moment, I understood that I was not only the translator, but I will get the grade. And I understood that we were doing the real task, not only just the university task, but and the results of your work will be used by real translators, and in the future that will become necessary for people and useful. One more thing I wanted to add is that all the participants of the project were having different roles in different groups. So each student could have the role of terminologist, editor, and project manager. So we had shifts, and each person could try themselves in the other role. I also wanted to add that the most interesting thing for me was to observe the reaction of student, their reaction, and how the management skills are revealed, and how do they stick to the schedule. Actually, Halyna is with us today because she took the role of the manager of the managers, because she was managing all the project, and she followed the work of each manager directly. And in my practice, I have few of those types of projects done, but so I can say that not all people are ready to do that job, and some people want just to have their individual responsibility, but it doesn't happen in life. So that's why we will talk a lot about it. But in real life, really, the comfort zone, if it exists, then it is so comfortable that people just do not want to leave it, and it doesn't matter whether we are translators, editors, or teachers, we have our comfort zone. So what should we do to quit this comfort zone? First of all, we need to change the routine. So anything that we do on everyday basis, so we need to do some additional steps that will help us to move further, and not just to make the step, but to put the task or aim and try to describe the result that you want, and work and never give up, because we just stepped out of the comfort zone. So this stage is very difficult, because the seduction of leaving everything behind and just staying in your comfort zone is huge. So as long as you fight this stage, you will be able to move forward. So what did I do as the teacher? We already mentioned the translation project. So the feeling of the project. So they think that, why do we need to study? We need to feel confident in the market. So we need to feel that we gave necessary education, necessary knowledge for people to go into real life and work. So we need to be systematized each year. So it is already the second year that we implemented those huge plans. So also important steps for interpreter is to do the steps. So lots of my teacher colleagues cannot fight the fear and put the task in order to move to the goal. So that's what you need to do, and successfully move to your aim. You can move with tiny steps. You need just to start moving. You need to put the task and give the opportunity to work, and also you need to look from somebody other's perspective on the project. For example, from the point of view of the manager, in order to understand how it works. Also, you need to observe with the other point of view, like the programming point of view. Also, so my actions during the escape of that comfort zone was the understanding that you are doing the translation not just because of this is your home task, not because of the document, but you do it in order to achieve new knowledges, to get new skills, and student should accept this task not like the everyday job, the everyday routine, but as the challenge and getting new skills that will eventually bring you good results. So you need to work on yourself, on your self-development, and not to be scared of something new. So also for me, the escape from comfort zone was motivating for me, because now I can not only translate the text that I received as a home task, but I can manage the translation project of the third course. So what needs to be done? First of all, you should not be scared of some changes. You should not be afraid of senior teachers. Also, the very important cooperation was with the work with the translators. And personally, for me, the huge skill was the summer translation camps, because when you teach, you get also new information, and so you see this naivety, this creativity, and this motivation. Everything gives results. Okay, and so why should we leave our comfort zone? So why are we talking about this right now? So in this situation, when everything changes rapidly and so fast, it is very hard to refuse to leave the old templates of the work, the old system of working. And very important thing that gives us the confidence in the market is, so for me it was the opportunity not to be afraid of the new challenge, to pass everything and to rethink and to feel myself as a student again. So I gained this skill to study while teaching. So we launch new tasks each time, and for us as teachers, it was also possible to not only fight the fear, but to teach and develop. And for me, for a student and the manager of translation project, it was first of all the personal experience and motivation, and of course the development of the organizing skills. So what does this comfort zone leaving gives us is the fast growth, because in any case it will give the results that will be much bigger than those that you have now. It is the understanding that there is nothing to be afraid of, and there is nothing to be scared of new, and everything is achievable and everything is real. And undoubtedly this is the huge so when people see somebody who achieved the result, that motivates other people to try something new, something useful for themselves. And as for those steps, those 6 promised steps to quit the comfort zone is, so first we need to find out what is out of the comfort zone. What is it that is waiting for us out of the comfort zone? Because while sitting inside of the box, we will not be able to see the opportunities. So the second step is the opportunity to communicate with those people who perform those changes, whether it is the educational facility or finding people who among students and those people who are ready to do something. So when we see the eyes that are glowing, that are burning, so we just lose this fear, because everybody make mistakes, but you need to always make conclusions, and you need not to never give up, never stop just on the university degree, on your university marks. You need to move forward constantly and always. So please enjoy your tries. So just do this, just make this step and jump. Let's give our thanks to Tetyana, Kristina, and Halyna for the things that they are doing for Ukrainian translation industry, because our students are our future. Yes, our. Yeah. Okay, I think you noticed that it rains now, so I think it is for good luck to start. And if anybody has questions, please. Ruslan, thank you so much for your performance. I have two questions. First one is for the professional teachers. As you know that we will get the new standard in Ukrainian education. So while creating this new standard, the representatives of the industries were not invited. So if you remember, in 2013 on the conference we were discussing that the standard is good because Russia had it, but now we understand that this is not good right now. So do you have any know-how? Are you ready to live with this standard? And the second question, very brief one, so was it helpful for you to translate professional as a freelancer, and how it helps you to... Okay, thank you for your question. I will start from the first question. So the standard is good. We hope that we will get this standard. So we already have this new law and draft law on education that is already available, and so this law gives us the chance to choose the subjects, and this is actually very good for us as teachers, because we have the opportunity to make our topic more wide. I think the standard is good for us, and it will bring more discipline, and if we will face any problems, we will be able to resist it, because if we want to. And the second answer to your second question is, I am not working as a freelancer, but I do motivate my students to take part in volunteering projects. So now we are working on the open online course in Massachusetts Technological University. So the course is called the psychology course, the introductory to psychology course, and it is very important because it consists lots of materials on subtitling, on translating, and so without the distribution of roles, without managing, it is just impossible to manage. And I do not gain money from it, but it motivates me for further steps.
All right. I have a question to Miss Tetyana Struk. Of course, if it's a real project, then it should have a deadline, right? But you're running this risk. You take students who implement this project. Do you meet the deadlines that you set for yourself? And if so, how? Yes, of course we always meet the deadlines. First, it was the manager's responsibility to set the deadlines and to meet them. And at each step of the project, when we cooperate with the students, even if it's a simple lectures course, it's absolutely obligatory to meet every deadline. Each student of mine knows that if he or she missed the deadline, and if the task was sent at like 1 minute late, I won't take a look at that task. I won't take a look at that assignment, because there are always people who are responsible for that. Was it difficult for you to do that? No, it wasn't. Вопрос. Microphone. The question was, but if it was difficult to unite parts of the project into one Actually, I ran this issue as a manager of all the managers, so I set certain deadlines. All of that should have been done very quickly and in a timely manner. So management was my responsibility, and it all depends on how you organize all of that, how all of that runs. You had a preliminary deadline for the participants of the team, and then you had time to edit it, to adjust it, and to meet the deadline. We didn't have certain time frameworks. We discussed this beforehand, and it went well. Concerning the glossary, did you consult Ms. Tetyana? There was a person responsible for glossary in each team. That university is an educational facility preparing experts. This is the sphere called emergencies, managing emergencies. So these are safeguards, people who save lives. So these were real, quite important strategic teachings, practical teachings, practical sessions, and our officers were counselors for this project, and they needed to communicate freely with representatives of Lviv facilities and so on. They're very competent, very expertised. They participated in such events outside Ukraine as well. Also, we prepared a glossary for fire emergencies that we published this year, so you could have worked with this as well. With OSCE, we're preparing a glossary set for military vocabulary, and I was interested in your experience. Yeah, thank you. Next. Partly, I'll again on this issue. I'm interested in the issue of responsibility, because for students it was studies, but for the clients, for the customers, it was an order that they wanted to receive. Who was responsible for the quality assurance, and how much support did the students get from real life experts? Because for students, that's pure studies. The worst you can get is a bad grade, but the order cannot be failed. Do you plan? The second part of my question is: do you plan to use similar forms, and how do you plan to do that? Do you have certain stable projects that need translation, or are you going to create an artificial situation that mocks real life for the students? I'll answer the second part of your question, because in Struk Academy, I've just finished a similar project. I experiment with that all the time. A project that includes students making subtitles for webinars, for UTIC webinars, UTIC events. See, our time is almost up. That's the sign for that. And they did the transcription. They did the program work. And everything went smoothly. But this format was actually... This project was absolutely crucial for the students who received their experience in subtitling, in transcribing. This project has lots of perspectives. It's potentially profitable. It has to be a real project. It doesn't artificial projects won't do. So UTIC webinars are dubbed in English or Russian. There was no Ukrainian text. If you want to use that in a educational facility, we didn't have a Ukrainian text. Now we do have it, and the students understand the responsibility that they're taking up. And concerning part of your question, the person responsible for quality assurance. So the experts were, we, the teachers were responsible for that. Because the teachers who worked at the polygons during the teachings, they were the actual teachers of the university. And they were joined by the students, of course, so they helped in those field conditions and used the glossary, the correspondent glossary, and we were working in the same, like in the same boat. Thank you. Okay, we're finishing with the questions. Another last short question. I don't know whether you'll answer it because it's a difficult one. Where do you find motivated students? I'm not a teacher. It was 9 years ago. Now I'm interested in it as an employer. We have vacancies. We gave job announcements. We decided to teach an expert for ourselves to invite the students who are about to graduate, to teach them and then hire them. And what do you think? We have only one CV received. Maybe we're good at motivating and making people interested. Miss Oksana Tkach is here, who ran her practice at our company and then went forward, and she'll be the speaker tomorrow. She works at BlaBlaCar right now. But what I think, the main thing that we did is we lit that fire of interest towards the profession. That's what we do. That's what I do that's what I've been doing for 10 years now. Thank